In the dead of winter, 1922, on a remote farmstead 60 kilometers north of Munich, an entire family vanished. This place, known as Hinterkaifeck, would soon become the setting for one of Germany's most disturbing and perplexing unsolved crimes. For days, the Gruber family, Andreas, Chiselia, their widowed daughter Victoria, and her two young children, Chiselia and Joseph, were nowhere to be seen. The mail piled up, the livestock went unfed, and young Chiselia missed school without explanation. It was as if the farm, and everyone on it, had been swallowed by the silent, snow-covered landscape. But the silence was deceptive. In the weeks leading up to the tragedy, strange and unsettling events had plagued the Gruber family. Andreas Gruber had told neighbors about finding a set of footprints in the fresh snow, leading from the dense forest to the farm's machine house, but none leading away. He spoke of hearing footsteps in the attic, finding an unfamiliar newspaper on the property, and of a set of house keys that had mysteriously disappeared. The family's maid had even quit her job 6 months prior, convinced the house was haunted. She claimed to hear voices and felt an unnerving presence. Andreas, a man known for his stern and private nature, dismissed these fears, but he couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. He tried to investigate, searching the property with his rifle, but found nothing. Little did he know, the threat was likely already inside. On April 4th, concerned neighbors finally decided to investigate. What they discovered in the barn was a scene of unimaginable horror. Lured one by one, it seemed, from the house to the barn, the members of the family had been brutally murdered. Andreas, Chiselia, Victoria, and her daughter Chiselia lay stacked together, covered with hay. The weapon, a pickaxe, was found at the scene. Inside the house, the horror continued. In her vicinity lay 2-year-old Joseph, and in her own bed, the family's new maid, Maria Baumgartner, who had arrived just hours before the massacre. She had met the same violent end. The entire household of 6 was gone. The subsequent police investigation was immediately baffled. The initial theory was robbery, but this was quickly dismissed. A large sum of money was found untouched in the house. Valuables were left in plain sight. This wasn't a crime of greed. It was something far more personal, far more sinister. Investigators were struck by the bizarre details of the scene. Despite the massacre, it appeared someone had remained at the farm for several days after the murders. The cattle had been fed, meals had been eaten in the kitchen, and smoke was seen rising from the chimney by neighbors. Who would commit such a heinous act, only to linger and tend to the farm? It was a chilling thought, the killer living amongst the victims, as if playing house in a tomb of his own making. The search for a suspect turned into a frustrating and fruitless manhunt. Over 100 individuals were questioned over the years, but no one was ever charged. Theories swirled like the winter snow. Was it a drifter, a transient who had been hiding in the attic, waiting for the right moment to strike? This would explain the footsteps, the missing keys, and the lingering presence after the crime. Others pointed to a more intimate motive, focusing on the family's own dark secrets. Rumors of incest between Andreas and his daughter Victoria were rampant in the village. It was whispered that little Joseph was not the son of Victoria's late husband, but of her own father, Andreas. This led to speculation about a jealous lover or a vengeful figure from Victoria's past. One prominent suspect was Lorenz Schlittenbauer, a neighbor who had a previous relationship with Victoria and was believed by some to be Joseph's biological father. He had been involved in a contentious paternity dispute with the Grubers. His behavior after the discovery of the bodies was also considered strange. He was among the first at the scene and disturbed the bodies, potentially contaminating evidence. He claimed he was looking for his son, Joseph. While he was a primary person of interest for a time, police could never find enough evidence to link him directly to the murders. He remained a figure of suspicion in the local community for the rest of his life, but legally, he was never proven guilty. Another theory involved Victoria's husband, Carl Gabriel, who was officially declared killed in action in the trenches of World War I. His body was never recovered. This led to a persistent rumor. What if he had survived? What if he returned to find his wife in a relationship with another man, or worse, with her own father? Could a soldier, brutalized by war and driven by rage, have been capable of such an act? Some former comrades even claimed to have seen a man matching his description after his supposed death. But these were just whispers, fragments of stories with no concrete proof. The theory, like so many others, led to a dead end. As the years turned into decades, the case grew colder. In 2007, a modern police academy in Germany took on the Hinterkaifeck Murders as a cold case project. Using contemporary investigative techniques, they meticulously re-examined every piece of evidence, every statement, every rumor. They analyzed the crime scene photos, the autopsy reports, and the decades of speculation. After a thorough review, they did reach a consensus on a primary suspect. However, out of respect for the individual's living relatives, they chose not to publicly name the person. The case, they concluded, was solvable with the technology of the time, but the passage of nearly a century had made a definitive, prosecutable conclusion impossible. The secret of who committed the Hinterkaifeck murders remains officially locked away. Today, the farmstead is long gone. It was demolished in 1923, a year after the murders, as if to erase the stain of the tragedy from the land. A small memorial now stands where the house once was, a humble stone marker in a quiet field. But the story endures, passed down through generations, a chilling German folktale brought to life. It's a story of footprints in the snow that lead to nowhere, of phantom footsteps in an attic, and of a killer who lived with the dead. The motive, the identity of the perpetrator, and the truth of what happened on that final, terrifying night at Hinterkaifeck remain buried under a century of silence. The pickaxe that delivered the fatal blows is still missing, and the ghosts of the Gruber family still wait for justice that will never come.